Thanks everyone for joining. I'll be talking a bit about a slightly provocative title, data science company or a company with data scientists. Uh, uh, and the reason why I'm saying it is provocative is that it does make you think. Is there a difference? And what I'm going to try and explain is the difference and what we need to address through this difference. So if you move to the next slide, Stephanie, Ruth, thanks. Yeah, these are all my personal views and do not reflect the views of Novartis. A standard disclaimer. Thank you. Next, yeah. I'll talk a bit about the background, then a talk about building a data science team, then talk about building a data science company, then a bit on culture and digital transformation, and then a final slide on discussion. I think overall it might take me around 20 minutes, 25 minutes for the slides, and then we can have some discussion if people so want. Yeah. Next slide, please. So, Vas Narasimhan, who is our CEO, this is what he said. And these are some of the quotes from starting from around 2018, some last year, some this year. But he has repeatedly said this. And if you go and listen to some of his talks, on the web or his writings on LinkedIn, he does emphasize quite a bit on data science and AI. And specifically, the first quote says, "We are aiming to transform how we create innovative medicines, engage with patients and healthcare providers, and improve operational efficiencies. Ultimately, we are reimagining medicine with data science and AI." So data science and AI is right on top on what he wants as a CEO. The bottom quote also says that he wants Novartis to be known as a medicines and data science company. Novartis is known as a medicines company. He wants to add data science. So it's an important part, and it also tells you the drive that is taking place within Novartis on why, on driving data science as a integral part of how we do business. Now, so that's one aspect of it, but then there are some actions which have been taken with respect to that, and you see on the right side panel a bit about Novartis and Microsoft joined forces to develop drugs using AI, and that's quite exciting for us. And it specifically mentions Dublin, which excites me even more because I'm based out of Dublin. It says that joint research will take place at the Novartis campus in Switzerland and the company's global service center in Dublin. It will also involve Microsoft's research labs in Cambridge, and UK's foremost machine learning experts. So this excites us. This excites all of us in Novartis, that this is happening at such a fundamental level, that two companies who are masters at what they do coming together to solve medicine problems. Next slide, please. So how do we go about doing it? One of the things that I've been doing for a long time is how to build data science teams. And this, I think, a lot of us are very familiar with. Data science, the way I look at it, if you look at the right panel, you see the data science is in the middle. It is made up of various different areas. So there's math and stats. There's the domain expertise, there's the visualization and storytelling, and then the computer science aspects of algorithm and data wrangling. Now, all these expertise areas cannot be there in one person. So a data science team is almost like a jazz ensemble. You know how jazz musicians or the jazz ensembles work. Everyone is an expert in what they do. Each one of them is allowed to do their own part. They all come back. There's a basic tune which is set up, the riff which the band leader sets up, someone like Miles Davis, and then he lets his team members go off, like John McLaughlin on guitar would go off and do his guitar stuff. But in the end, they all come together. It's the same thing, that there's a data science leader, a team manager, and then you have got a computer scientist and a visualization storytelling person, a math and stats person, a domain expert, and all of them together form the data science team. So and the idea is that I'm just talking about two areas here. Statistics. While computer science and domain expertise is absolutely essential, I'm just highlighting two areas which are extremely important. One is statistics. One of the things that we have to be worried about is, when we use computers, we know that computers are not biased, but biased people can compute. Yeah. And that is an important aspect, that all of us have personal biases. Even though we know that the computers are not biased, our personal biases translate into how the computers do the computation. Yeah. So we have to be very, very careful. So using the wrong statistical model is a problem. Using software which is not fit for purpose, can cause problems. Answering a wrong question, an approximate question, instead of answering the right question is a problem, and I'll talk a bit about that later. Using data which was not collected for the purpose that it has been used for, that's a big problem, and we need someone who can identify that problem. Using too much data or too little data, that always happens, although we are living in the age of big data becomes small very, very quickly as soon as you have a very specific question. So we have to be, careful about that. Over interpretation of results. We have a nasty habit of over interpreting results which we like and discarding results which we do not like. So we have to be good at that and detecting those kind of differences. And we are also not good at telling our stories. If we don't like the story, we make it obtuse, we make it vague. And all of you must be going through it as you read COVID stories, on a daily basis. Why are things not that clear? Because intentionally the people, again, this might be controversial, but I think the people who are writing those stories are being obtuse because the story is not clear. The next part, of course, is the storytelling. They have to be contextual, they have to be passionate, they have to be engaging. They should be based on real world problems. They should be on in a timely basis, not dated. They have to use cutting edge science and the latest data. One of the things which worries me about COVID is the cutting edge science being used? Is the latest information being used? Is everyone in the world using the latest data? uh, um, then stories become important if the right models are used, if the right data is there, if the visuals that are being presented are stimulating rather than being obtuse. Do they cover all angles? Do the story cover all angles, or they highlight only advantages? Do they talk about shortcomings? Do they talk about what's going to happen in the future? If not, then those stories are not very good stories. Are the stories concise and exact, or they use too many adverbs and flowery language? The reason I'm going into these depth is the success of a data science team depends on these things. If you don't get your story right, that is, and I've gone through it personally, whenever I've done a mistake with my storytelling, those projects generally tend to fail. So just wanted to, this is a basic construct of a data science team, and I've only highlighted two similar things. You have to talk about domain expertise and computer science algorithms and data wrangling. Moving along, Ruth, to the next slide, please. So now, what is the data? So that's the data science team. So every company today has a data science team, but VAS wants something more. Novartis already had data scientists. We were, many data scientists. So we had data science teams. So when VAS says that he wants Novartis to be known as a medicine and data science company, what does he mean? How do you become a data science company instead of a company with data scientists? And this is where it starts getting a little bit, what should I call it? It starts becoming an art instead of science. So it's the art of using data science in a company. It's the thought process. It's the culture. It's how each individual in a company thinks about the data. That's what is going to make it a data science company. So it's much more about culture and thinking rather than hiring and upskilling individuals. We have been doing hiring and upskilling of individuals. We have been making data science teams. We have not been talking about the culture and the thinking around data. And that's the difference. Senior leaders, managers, and every individual needs to go through this journey. They have to understand, everyone, not just the statisticians, not just the computer scientists, even the even the scientists who are working in a lab, the salespeople, managers, middle level managers whose only job is to manage teams. They have to go through this journey. This has to be driven by a culture which is unbossed, which is curious, which is inspired. And I'll talk a bit more about these terms later on. Just think of them as English words, although unbossed is not an English word, but unbossed meaning, you know, people who are self-driven. They don't need a boss to tell them what to do. They don't need a boss to tell them what is the right thing to do, but a set of people who do the right things, driven by their own curiosity, driven by their own inspiration. It requires an open environment. It requires an open learning culture. It requires an innovation mindset, and it requires support from everyone around them of the ability to take risk. If you do all these things, you will start becoming a data science company. But more explicitly, if you go to the right panel, I have, except for the statisticians or the data scientists, I've never seen anyone talk like this. For example, my data analysis has got a bias due to the way the data was collected. But one thing that I assured was that we had an appropriate sample size for the analysis, and we had a good understanding of what a meaningful effect size is. Just imagine a manager, a senior leader saying this. That is what is missing. The only person who talks like this is a statistician, and that too in their own circles. Can a manager ask a question like it is given in the second one? Can you do this analysis which can give some idea on patient population which is not being addressed today? But make sure that the data you use is fit for purpose and your own biases are acknowledged. Can a senior leader talk like this? Can a senior leader say this? I worry about the small effect size. I've never seen anyone say that. They will most probably say, I do not understand. The drug is not working. But can they talk as a data scientist? Can they talk like, I worry about the interpretation? While I'm excited about the insights, not being able to understand the reason why makes me uncomfortable. Can they start talking the data science language? The day you are able to make people talk like data scientists, you have solved the problem. Now, it's a difficult one, but we know, all of us who work in the pharmaceutical industry, we talk the pharmaceutical language. We talk about mechanism of actions of drugs. We talk about adverse events. We talk about dosing, all of us in the company. So why can't all of us start talking the data science language? And once we start doing that, you'll start becoming a data science company instead of a company with data scientists. Next slide, please. Now, digital transformation and culture. I talked a bit about that. In Novartis, the way the digital transformation is done is that most of the important digital projects are now housed under one person as the chief digital officer. So they are run as digital lighthouse projects. These are projects which give directions to other projects on how to run a digital program. These are big programs which are affecting the whole company. We are doing it through partnerships. One of the partnerships that I mentioned was the partnership with Microsoft. and I'll talk a bit more about that at the end. We have also started our own venture funding through a program called as Novartis Biome, where we, get requests from external companies, where we talk to external companies, and if there is a mutual interest between the company and Novartis, there's funding available. And these biomes are run out of San Francisco. There's one in Paris. There's one in Hyderabad, and these are looking at local niche companies who want to tie up with Novartis with respect to their projects. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect is culture, and one of the very serious aspect of culture is leadership in the data and digital age. What does a manager? What should a manager in today's age be able to do? So, what should a leadership look like in today's age? One of the key things is the ability to combine business knowledge and data-based insights to take decisions. Uh, this requires leaders to openly share their decision-making journey. If not done, everyone in the company will be able to question them, because decisions in today's world, if they're based on data, and if you're not able to explain, people can come and challenge you. So transparency in the day of data and digital has changed the game. It's no longer the old way of working that, well, there are certain decisions taken, I can't tell you why the decision was taken, this is what you need to do. Those days are far and gone now. It is about being open and transparent about decision making, and leadership needs to change that. Second thing, ability to take decisions under uncertainty. And uncertainty here, I'm talking from statistical uncertainty. Data science only provides, estimates, provides risk. Every decision comes with inherent risks because it's based on data. Data is full of noise, data is dirty. So can you take decisions under uncertainty? Can you think statistically? Can you say that I am 70% sure of this, but we'll go with it? I understand the risk that there's a chance of 30% being wrong, but I go with it. Are you able to say that openly? Very important. Ability to avoid over analysis. One of the things that happens with data is, analysis paralysis. And I've seen that repeatedly. We just keep on analyzing and analyzing and analyzing. Today's leaders cannot afford to do that. While they have the, too much data, but are they able to move along and take a decision? Can you walk the data science talk? Can you do that? Just talking about being a data scientist, we will use data, is not enough. Can you talk? Can you do it yourself? I think the time has come that leaders in this data age should talk the real data science language beyond the dumbed down versions of it. And I'm sorry for being provocative here. There are a bunch of dumbed down versions of data science training courses which are available. We have to go way beyond that. This is serious stuff. There are more things on, Unbossed that is promoting all these kind of things. That in Novartis we've got various different things. There's constant feedback that is given to managers. 360 for each manager. I get a feedback from my team every quarter. So they fill out a survey for me every quarter, and it doesn't go to anyone else. It doesn't even go to my manager. It's just between the team and me, and it just happens regularly. So that is absolutely fantastic. So the assimilation between leaders, managers, and their team happens. There's tons of learning initiatives. We have signed up with Coursera, with LinkedIn. All the courses are available, not only for the people, but for their families and things like that, where learning is being promoted as a culture. It's something that needs to be done across the board, not just with you, but with everyone. And then inspirations, inspiration comes through making your working environment a bit better, by recognizing each other, parental leaves, and tons of stuff which are much more people focused. So this is something which is happening in the company. And where does data science fit in? Well, it fits in everywhere. curiosity. So if you want to learn data scientist, if you want to talk like that, all the resources are available to you. If you want to become a leader who connects with his people, all the unbossed tools are available to you. If you want to be inspired and inspire your team, recognize them for their contributions, recognize them for their family situation, and help do what is right. So data science becomes, in some sense, benefits as a sub part of these cultural things which are going on. Next slide, please. And I think it's the last slide. So I think I will summarize what I've told you is that culture is as important as technology. Both are needed, but till now, data science teams relied on technology. The culture part was missing. Data science talk at a leadership level is very, very important. Right now, that is missing. I don't really see any leaders worldwide who talk that data science language unless they are data scientists themselves. And one of the other things that we have also realized is that this journey cannot be done by us alone. So we have partnerships, important ones with Microsoft, important ones with Amazon, where we are really, going to the next level. The other aspect of doing this is that once you have, data science as a culture, what it does is it helps manage scientific humility. It also makes skeptics of all of us. That's the beauty of data science. Data science is so transparent that people can't just say, oh, I am a great scientist and that's why we were able to figure it out. You have to say, well, I'm a scientist who analyzed the data properly, and these are my findings. And it brings in some sort of a scientific humility. In today's world, I think scientific humility is needed. If you read COVID papers which are being published, I think the humility is completely missing. They are all bombastic and full of adverbs and things like that. And skeptics, I think all of us have a duty to be skeptical. We have to question. We have to ask questions. We have to doubt it without becoming cynical, without bringing in cynicism. Questioning is absolutely necessary. Scientists are skeptics of the highest order. So if you're not skeptical, there's a problem. And data science helps. And the tick boxes in the bottom just tell you why. Data science helps you. Should you do an approximate answer to a correct question or a correct answer to an approximate question? I've solved many approximate questions in the past, yeah, perfectly as a statistician, but they were not the right questions, and that's a problem. Data science helps us avoid that problem. Data science has an inbuilt transparency because it's based on data, so you can't really hide. And there are not too many other tools which have inbuilt transparency. Data science has it. Visual presentation of problems and solutions, ability to tell a story which transcends differing knowledge bases. The world today requires COVID knowledge to be transferred, and it is required by people who have a PhD. It is required by people who have never studied. How are you going to do it? Data science and presenting the data in an interesting manner, whether it's through a story or through a graph or through a picture or through a video. I think data science lends itself quite well to it. And then democratization of data. All the data should be made available to everyone, and all the tools. One of the things that is happening now is 10 years ago, there was democratization of tools. We were very good in sharing tools. They were all commercially available. Today, what has happened is that data is available to everyone. The tools are becoming proprietary. But I think we have our duty that we have to democratize both data and the tools, and then the world will be much better. So, guys, this is where I am, and what I've told you is this story that building a data science team is easy. Building a company which is a data science company, not that easy, because it's not just technology, it requires culture. And then once you do that, you end up doing a science which is full of humility, which creates skeptic out of us, which makes it a much better world to live in. So